Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pendulum Friday for May 9th. All right. Um, I just love that you guys are really enjoying the Pendulum Fridays, and you always send in really great questions. And I just think it's really cool that we're able to do this week after week after week. All right. I'm going to start with I got some questions sent to me by Mark out of in Georgia. Okay, so if any of you have, a lot of you, I'm sure, have seen the videos that I do with Marcus, because he really does have his finger on the pulse of the politics in Georgia, and he's very wise. So he sent me out some questions. We're going to start there. So as you know, um, there's been talk about Brian Kemp, who has completed or will be completing his term as governor. He can't run again. So people are going, oh, well, maybe he's going to, run for the presidency in 2028, or maybe this, or maybe that. Now, earlier this week, I'm pretty sure, he flat out said, I am not going to run for president. Now, I don't know. How much can you believe? It's a politician. But I'm going to ask the pendulum. Marjorie Taylor Greene, God bless her, is also looking to run, I think, for governor of Georgia. Now, okay, on the one hand, that would, or no, Senate? Maybe the Senate. In any case, the polling shows her as dead last. And it looks, John Ossoff looks like he would be a far stronger candidate. Let's see what Pendulum says to these questions, and then we'll move over to the really brilliant questions you guys have sent. For those of you who are concerned, there's a lot of forest fires going on around here. We are not being impacted yet. In fact, they're far enough away at this point, we're not even smelling smoke. But the fire season has started way too early out here, and it is dry. So that's the status there. Thank you, because I know you guys kind of get concerned. But I'll keep you informed, and if I don't show up one day, you'll find a quick message saying, can't record, surrounded by fire. Okay, let's get started, shall we? Based on the news that, okay, hold on here. Will Kemp out of the race? Marjorie Taylor Greene is by far the only person with the biggest name recognition and probably most likely to get Trump's endorsement. However, as I said, she's polling dead last. Okay, yes. So it is. Sorry, I've screwed everything up here. It's the Republican. It's the Senate that people are wanting him to run for, and is he going to do that? So let's find out, shall we? Based on the news that Kemp says, or that Marjorie Taylor Greene says she's running for it, and on. Let's see. Does Brian Kemp plan to run for president in 2028? Sorry, I just need to move it so you can see it better. It's okay. It's a very small yes, and I'm just gonna double check since I screwed up with everything. Is Brian Kemp looking to run for the U.S. Senate? No. Will Marjorie Taylor Greene get the Republican nomination for Ossoff's Senate seat? It's really not kind of moving. Um, will Ossoff defeat Marjorie Taylor Greene, or whatever Republican get the nomination in the general election? Will Ossoff basically retain his seat? All right, so as of right now, we are looking at a fairly strong yes. Okay, now, let's get started on the questions you all sent. All right, first, Joyce sent me this little note. Update on my sister, that's her sister Kay, who was very, very ill. She has moved to rehab this past Tuesday. She likes it there, and just being in a different environment has helped a bunch. Thanks again for all the healing prayers. Love, Joyce. Here we go. Okay, listen, the Alberta thing. I'm going to start with the whole separation deal. This is the thing. The First Nations people own a lot of land, but it's under their control, okay? And a lot of land is under the crown, which, just check, just in case you don't know, that would be old King Charlie there. All right. So this whole separation thing is just like a tempest in a teapot, and I'm not dismissing it because it's being triggered by people who feel that, Alberta's basically not getting a fair deal. And I'm not going down that road. But it's important to remember that they can't just take the entire province and shift it. And it's only something like, okay, right now, I think it's 40% of people who are polled strongly, strongly disapprove of the way Danielle Smith is running the province of Alberta. 10% just disapprove. So she's 50%, right? So she's already underwater. She's not well liked. She's not being well received. And I think more and more people are starting to understand that the whole separation thing is a really good distraction for the stuff that is going on that doesn't, sort of reflect well on her. I'm just going to ask a simple kind of question. Is the separatist movement in Alberta going to gain enough traction that there should be concern? That's a no. All right, next question. I have an Alberta question for you. Will the unionized government employees, AUPE, go on strike? Let's ask. I know that the teachers, unfortunately, had just voted to strike. They have like 120 days to figure out if they're going to do it, and it's like kind of convoluted. But as of right now, the teachers are planning on striking. The unionized government employees, that's like a whole different group of people. Will they actually end up going on strike? Pendulum. Let's see. No. Will a new contract be negotiated that will be accepted? That's a yes. Let's hope so. We don't need those kinds of disruptions. She also wanted to know if it was possible to ask which Democrats are Russian assets, and I'm going to ask Republicans. I think you're going to find a bigger grouping of them. She's saying maybe we could start with initials and start with a short list. We can do that. So maybe, but like short, like 3 or 4 people at a time. Let's pick who we think it's most likely to get a yes, and we'll try it out next week, hopefully, and see how that works. Okay, and we're still with the Democratic senators here. Are Democratic senators that are Russian assets either willingly or unwillingly, such as trickery or bribery? Is Chuck Schumer a Russian asset? No. John Fetterman? No. Chris Murphy? No. Kristen Gillibrand? That's a yes. And please remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Will Americans lose more rights between now and 2030? All right. Such as freedom of assembly and freedom of speech. So between now and 2030, are they going to see those rights diminished? No. Will the GOP start to turn on the felon this year? Okay, so right now it's a yes. It's kind of a small yes, but it's a yes, so we'll take it. Um, right now, apparently, from what I can understand, Mike Johnson's having a heck of a time because there is like a revolution going on within the Republican Party over this big, beautiful deal that gives billionaires all kinds of tax breaks and cuts Medicaid. It's not being well received because you've got, Republicans who are in swing districts and they don't want this kind of nonsense going on because they know they're going to get, booted right out of office if they vote for this kind of stuff. So this is kind of, and Trump's calling it like the big beautiful bill. Like let's ask this: is the big beautiful bill going to pass? Is it going to get out of the House? Okay, with the yes, and the Senate, well, get out of the Senate. No, that's where it's going to get stopped. If they don't stop it in the House, that's where it's going to get stopped. Will we be rid of Stephen Miller before he destroys our children and the country? Okay, so what I'm getting is a small yes, but what I'm hearing is he's going to be diminished. Um, in some ways, it's like he's gonna be like ostracized. And the only people that are going to surround him truly are um, kind of people who are extreme right, white nationalist kind of energy. Speaking of which, they announced today, earlier, this is Thursday, that a new pope has been chosen, and he is Pope Leo the 14th. Now they say he is so more likely to follow the steps or the path that Pope Francis um, implemented over his tenure. Um, Pope Francis was sort of considered quite the kind of rebel, right? He leaned quite liberal, and so there's a lot of talk to see what that looks like or how that's going to unfold. But apparently, one of the things that people are saying you can anticipate is sort of a feeling of nobody is above anybody else. You have to take care of everybody. So his if he follows that kind of thinking, you're going to see where he's going to run opposite to the current Republican leader and party. Um, 45 put out a thing saying that he's really quite looking forward to meeting this guy. But Pope Francis wasn't all that thrilled when he met Trump. He was less thrilled when he met Vance. So hubris. Trump and his hubris. Does Trump believe in God? No. Does Trump believe that there is a greater power greater than humans? No. At some level, does Trump think he's God? Yeah. Sorry, I had to ask the question. It was just hanging out there. Okay. Is the Trump administration itching to go to war with Iran? So this is the thing, right? Wars have a way of distracting people's attention, like moving it to a new area, a new thought process. Um, it also then becomes, I suppose, some sort of a justification for making cuts in certain places because now all of a sudden the Defense Department requires huge, influxes of money. I don't know. It's an interesting question. Let's find out, shall we? Is the Trump administration itching to go to war with Iran? Okay, that's a small no. Is going to war with any country part of a strategy that is being considered by the administration? Okay, it's a small yes, but it's a yes. Did the Trump administration or Doge have anything to do with the troubles at the Newark airport? Okay, let me just preface this by saying, for those of you who maybe don't know, uh, last week, I think it was, or early this week, the air traffic controllers lost communication, all communication with planes for 90 seconds, which means they didn't know where they were. They didn't know if they were going to fly into each other. They couldn't talk to them, and their machines were not telling them where they were. 90 seconds, that's a lot of time when you're talking about, I don't know, how fast does the average airplane go? A couple of 100 miles an hour? So now, and apparently it was so terrifying for the controllers that a bunch of them ended up almost immediately having to go on stress leave. I mean, I can't even imagine. So, and interestingly, I guess it's the Department of Transportation who would oversee that. But he was at, whoever that guy is, he was in one of those cabinet meetings with Trump there. And he flat out said people were going to die if the airport situation did not sort of get resolved. And he's not talking about cutting to resolve it. They don't have enough people. Now, was the administration or Doge, did they specifically have anything to do with the troubles at the Newark airport aside from staff shortages and that? I'm going to say it this way, were they responsible in any way with the 90-second blackout? Okay, we're not getting an answer. Let's try this. Was that blackout caused by a hacking situation coming from somewhere outside of the United States? That's a yes. So, this is the thing, right? You go into a department and you slash the employees. By and large, you're getting rid of a lot of employees who actually know what they're doing. So, what does that do? I mean, that leaves that agency or that department incredibly vulnerable. What do enemies of a country look for? They look for vulnerabilities. So the behavior and the cuts, all of that is creating a situation where the United States becomes less and less safe because you don't have people who know what they're doing, running these places. And the people who do know what they were doing were fired. Okay, the next question is, did they fire air traffic controllers? Yeah, they cut a lot of the staff, it's from what I understand, or mess up communication by computer hacking. Okay, so I think we answered that. And did Russia play a part? I'm getting a small yes for that. And again, remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Is 45's trip to Saudi Arabia, the UAE and Dubai next week for personal real estate business? Yes. It's Hegseth finally on his way out over his $2.2 million unilateral decision to ground the planes that were headed to Ukraine with military equipment and then reissuing the order a week later. Is that going to be what gets him out? I'm not getting an answer. What I'm getting is that it won't be something connected to Ukraine because anything that is beneficial to Russia in the war between Russia and Ukraine, um, it's going to be looked on favorably. So what I'm saying is, even though he really screwed up, it's like with Ukraine. So that's not going to be, when there's a reason or excuse, that's not going to be what's used. It's going to be something else. Probably the whole signal thing and all of that communication that's going on with unsecured devices. Is anyone telling 45 that a $10 million military parade is inconsistent with reducing waste and fraud from government spending? Anybody? Anybody at all? That's like such a little no, it's not even funny. Um, is there any way to stop it? A little yes. He wanted a military parade for this last inauguration. And he was basically told that, because what he wants is he wants to see what he sees in Russia and China. That's the kind of parade he wants. And he was basically told that those massive machines cannot drive down the streets of Washington. It will completely chew up and destroy the roadway. They're so heavy they would just make a mess. And apparently, even when they're moving them from one thing to another, they end up moving them and they them onto, I guess, special platforms so that they can not destroy what's underneath. Um, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to ask this question. Ultimately, is 45 going to get the birthday parade he is dreaming of? That's a no. Is he going to get some sort of a watered down version? That's a yes. Okay. Mhm. Will Hexeth be gone, removed within the next 2 weeks? Okay, so let's just move that to the end of May. Will he be gone before the end of May? No. End of June? That's looking more likely. Hexeth is scheduled to visit Israel on May 12th to meet his counterpart and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Is his plan to escape the U.S. on this trip? No. Will the trip actually happen? Is it going to go forward? So, yes. Will J.D. Vance flee America? Right now, that's a no. Will J.D. Vance have to step in for Trump in the next 4 years? Assuming there is not a way to sort of nullify that election, will it be J.D. Vance who finishes the Republican term in office? I'm going to ask it that way. Right now, the energy for that is a yes, unfortunately. I'm sorry. If so, will Vance serve out the rest of Trump's term? That was a yes. Trump offered some immigrants $1,000 ticket, like $1,000 if they would just leave, if they would just self-deport. Is it a trap to arrest them? No. Is that legal? No. Um, will Trump's personal involvement in cryptocurrency industry get him into trouble already? Um, Saudi Arabia has invested 2 billion with a B dollars into the cryptocurrency that is Trump's, for an easier way to say it, right? $2 billion. Wow, I'm sure he doesn't feel at all um, obligated. Unbelievable. You know what? This is the thing. Is he going to get into trouble? Probably not. Not right now. Who's gonna do that? Okay, is the cryptocurrency industry going to, at this point, get Trump into trouble? He is making money hand over fist, and there's all kind of money flying in from the cryptocurrency. Is he going to get into trouble? Not right now, people. You know, this is the thing. He's king of the castle, whether anybody wants him to be or not. And he is surrounded by people who are scared of him. Is Noam going to get into trouble over her testimony about Abrego Garcia? Apparently, it was gaslighting at its best. But again, is she going to get into trouble? No. You know, I think this is what we all have to just take a moment and accept. The things that would have been career ending, even under the Biden administration, but at any time before the first Trump administration, do not apply. All right. Um, in order for you to end up in trouble, because really the only person you can end up in trouble with is 45. The only way that happens is if you specifically do something to, one, steal his thunder, or two, decrease in any way your enthusiasm or loyalty to him. Other than that, you are under the Trump umbrella, and it doesn't matter what you do, because the Democrats do not have enough power to stop it. Elections have consequences. They don't have the House, they don't have the Senate. And listen, it's not like they're not doing anything. They're doing their level best, but they hold minority power in both chambers. It is anticipated by Dr. Bandy Lee, I know not who this is, that we will go through another COVID-like epidemic if we're not prepared. Is this likely to happen while Trump is in office? Right now, that's a yes. Is bird flu crossing over, or will it cross over to the human population based on today's energies? As of right now, it's a no. Okay. Thank you for being here. You know the drill, right? It's the weekend. Do something good for yourself and someone else. Until I see you next week, take care and be well. Bye for now.